Right into the roof of the net. Nice one. Straight down the middle. So a good performance from both teams here today.
Hi and welcome to First Post. I am Rupha Ramani and you're watching First Sports. Now in cricket, the Asia Cup has concluded. The Asian Games is beginning to gather steam in Hangzhou, China, and there's football action from around the world. Whether it's the Champions League, the Saudi Pro League, the AFC that Mumbai FC is also partaking in. So it's a week packed with much action from the field. But as we know, sports is also about all that happens in boardrooms, in team selection meetings, in discussions that often has an impact on what eventually occurs on the field. So here's our lineup for you today on First Sports. Ashwin returns to the ODI setup after more than a year. The Indian cricket team includes the spinner in their squad versus Australia in the 3 ODI series coming up in a couple of days. The innovation man makes his return. And what makes Ashwin special? The changes and tweaks that he kept bringing into his game. Or the first thing he did after being told of his selection. We'll tell you right here on the show. After their 1-2 loss against China in the opening game, a look at the challenges the Indian football squad faces in the remainder of the Asian Games. We will take you through all the twists and turns that led to this bunch being fielded at the prestigious 19th edition of the Asiad. And we continue our build-up around the Asian Games in Hangzhou. Let's look at a few more stars today who are likely to strike gold at the Asian Games. What makes them click, and why do I say they are favourites? Trust me, you don't want to miss this. So that and more coming your way. But here's what's making all the headlines from around the world in Sports 360. Australia have announced their squad for the one-day international series against India. Batter Steve Smith, who has recovered from an injury, has been called up. Pacers Pat Cummins and Mitchell Starc have been kept in the squad. Australia are also bringing 5 uncapped players for the 3-match ODI series. In weightlifting, India's Mirabai Chanu did not complete her lifts at the World Championships. She completed the 49-kilogram weigh-in but opted out of the lifting. Chanu said she did this to protect herself from injury ahead of the all-important Asian Games campaign. The Asiad begin, of course, on the 23rd of September with the opening ceremony. Other matches are underway. Moving to football, Spain's women's team keep up their protest against the Royal Spanish Federation. At least 15 players refuse to join the squad. And staying with football, the last ever group stage of the Champions League format set to start today as Manchester City will look to defend its title. The Champions League format is set to undergo a change next year with 36 teams competing for the title. All right, we'll start with cricket. Just a day after Rohit Sharma, the captain of the Indian cricket team, said in a press conference that Ashwin was in the reckoning, the squad for the Australia series is announced. And voila, Ashwin appears with Akshar Patel, a doubtful starter for the 3rd one-dayer due to his hamstring injury, even though he's in the squad. Is there a possibility of the Chennai spin all-rounder still being in contention of making it to the World Cup squad? Now let's listen in to what Rohit had to say regarding Ashwin's inclusion at the PC last night alongside national selector Ajit Agarkar.
With the kind of experience Ashwin has, he's played, close to 100 test matches, close to 150 ODIs. Yes, it was all in the past, but he's been consistently playing test cricket. With guys like Ashwin, game time, having a time in the ground is not so much of a concern. Yes, which is why we thought if he is an option for us, we need to get him in. But with the kind of experience that he has, it's just for guys like him. It's all in the head, more than the body and stuff like that. So I thought, we made that decision of getting him in, speaking to him, understanding where he's at with his body and stuff like that. It's not like he's not playing cricket for a last year or so. Yes, he's not played the format, but he's been playing. He played test cricket recently in West Indies. and he, if I'm not wrong, played some TNPL games as well. Although, I mean, there's no comparison there, but still some cricket there. So, games here against Australia will give us a chance to look at where he's at and how he's bowling, how his body feeling and stuff like that.
Now, the last time Ashwin played a one-day international for India was way back in January 2022. The only times Ashwin has played ODIs has been twice over the last 6 years. Now, why a World Cup spot, then you may think? We have come to know that despite not being in the squad, skipper Rohit Sharma has been in constant touch with Ashwin. So on Decode today, let's look at what makes this man so special. Someone who is invaluable when the pressure is on, as it will be come this Cricket World Cup in just days from now. So let's look at reason number one. Ashwin, the thinker, a mental cricketer. People close to him of course say that any challenge he takes up, he always tries to be the best. He gets into the detailing of every task. Nothing is on the surface level. For example, just hours after he was announced to be a part of the squad of the Australia ODI series, Ashwin played a 50-over club game in Chennai today. That's for his first division team MRCA in the VIP trophy. Just speaks of his mentality. He's wasted no time in doing a pre-test by playing a 50-over club game right after his inclusion. Another example, closer home. During COVID, he started playing chess from knowing nothing about the game. His friends say that he was terrible at the start, losing every single time he played. He practiced chess so hard that in 3 years, he's improved his game drastically. No wonder his wife Preeti in an interview famously said if he has had a bad day, he'll watch hundreds of videos and look for ways to improve. Now that's why we know him to belong where he belongs, and that's where all the problem solving comes from. A test to his mental grit. That leads me to reason number two. He's a master innovator. Someone like Ashwin has never settled for one routine in his bowling or the monotony of it. The bowling action, of course, we've noticed a few stark changes that he's made to his bowling action over the years. But I've learned that Ashwin has never settled for a single bowling action consistently. He keeps making minute changes every series he's played. He's thinking that he has to always have a surprise element. And like he's spoken in the past, he has constantly wanted the need to evolve and adjust to the modern day demands. One change, of course, was the carom ball. He introduced the carom ball to his repertoire, or the sudoku ball in Tamil, meaning snapping of the fingers. It's far complicated than how simple I'm making it sound, but that was in 2010. Ashwin himself saying that the carom ball is something gully cricketers practiced. So basically, you're imparting spin to the ball from the middle finger. He said in one of his older interviews that his father had suggested offhand that he try this and he had dismissed the idea, but gave it another serious thought and decided to do it. It took him more than a year to master the carom ball, and what a value addition it has been to his arsenal since then. The other change, his stance. In 2016, he started bowling with an open stance when his front foot hits the ground. This was different from the side-on or the closed stance that he was used to bowl previously. He started rotating his body better to transfer energy that enables greater spin. Now, some of the points I'm making here are also based on a biomechanics study that was conducted on Ashwin's bowling by a few researchers in Loughborough over a period of 4 years. Now, this research also showed how good Ashwin was when it came to varying the pace of his deliveries. Now, let me explain this a little better. When a batter comes to the crease, he or she is using the basic cues from the bowler, the height, the angle, the release points, to form a mental template of the ball's trajectory. Essentially, an attempt to predict how the ball would be delivered so he or she can play it. So the research showed that Ashwin's stock delivery was around 86 kilometers per hour. Ashwin always made subtle variations to this pace, close to that speed, to exploit the batter's indecisiveness. Basically, to play with their mental template of whether they had to step forward or play on the back foot. A key trait for bowlers with guile, and Ashwin has plenty of it. Now, speaking of guile, there's another reason that he's key, and that's been key to his success. He's focused on his batting, from being just a finger spinner to a handyman with the bat in all formats he's consistently played in. Now, I can remember instances straight away. The famous Sydney draw in the series against Australia, where he and Vihari batted for 5 hours to save the test. And of course, the very famous leave against Pakistan in the shortest format, when India needed 2 of 1 and in walks Ashwin. He did nothing dramatic but just left the ball. It called for a calm presence of mind to do that in a T20 World Cup match. Pressure situation that gave India the win. A World Cup call-up looks a little outside the chance, outside the box, a little unlikely. And after all, you want to wish India has a fully fit squad. But there is reason why a 38-year-old Ashwin is still called up despite not having played enough one-day internationals. In the last few years, in fact, Sri Lanka's World Cup winning captain Arjun Ranatunga, in an interview to a daily, said, and I quote, "They're looking more at the all-rounders like Ravindra Jadeja and Akshar Patel, but I personally feel that they should have someone like our Ashwin in the squad. If not in the 11, when he plays, he can be a match winner for you. He may be slightly older, he might be slightly slow in the field, but you need guys in the subcontinent who can contain and take wickets." It is that experience that comes handy, that sense of calmness that comes handy in pressure situations, that guile and mental strength that often becomes the key differentiator. Now, switching focus, even though many of the Indian contingents had made some memorable results in athletics, hockey, archery, leading up to the Asian Games in Hangzhou, much of the talks leading up to the start of the Games has been the drama unfolding in the football event. From possibly not having even one senior player to now possibly gaining somewhat a semblance of a team or a squad, with most of the seniors absent, much has transgressed over the last few weeks, the age-old club versus country debate at the center of it all. Here's a brief backgrounder of all the twists and turns.
The Indian football team began their Asiad campaign today. They took on a higher-ranked China at the multi-sport event in their opener today, playing in a new venue, that too against the host of the mega event. They entered the field with inadequate time to prepare. Get this, the footballers had to spend a 10-hour layover at the airport. They landed in China late on Monday. And what's more, it wasn't decided until the last moment who they would even play. Here's what Igor Stimac, the head coach of the Indian football team, said before the match. "I'm not thinking of results. I don't have any reason whatsoever to request results from the players. The reasons are well known." Yes, reasons absolutely well known. One of the biggest club versus country battles was at the heart of this. It's a debate that we've often witnessed in football. With just more than a week to go, the All India Football Federation is in a standoff with the Indian Super League franchises. The Indian Super League franchises refused to release some of their top footballers. At least 9 players from the original list were not released for the games. That's because the Asian Games football competition schedule clashes with that of the ISL. That begins on September 21st. The Asian Games fall outside FIFA's international match window, so legally, the footballers are bound to play for their ISL clubs. The All India Football Federation spent days in closed-room talks with the Sports Ministry as well as the SAI, Sports Authority of India. Many possibilities were discussed, including, dreadfully, pulling out their team, which they thankfully did not resort to. The AIFF were forced to name an inexperienced second-string team. Sunil Chhetri is the lone senior who was released for national duty by his Bengaluru franchise. Then came the news of a couple of other players being added to the lean squad, especially the inclusion of centre-back Sandesh Jigan. Igor Stimac might have breathed a sigh of relief, but just about. It's still not the original full-strength side, but with Chhetri at the helm, Igor may still try to work some magic.
Now, it's not been the best lead up to the Asian Games as far as the football squad goes. Imagining discussing tactics and formations on a flight, just imagine that. And not at pitch side, before training or in a meeting room, on ground zero. Back in 2014, the then coach Wim Kovermans had picked a strong 30-member squad for a 3-week camp before they set out to Incheon, the home for the Asiad back then. And how did the tournament go? India was part of a 3-team group comprising UAE and Jordan. After weeks of preparation, India conceded 7 goals in 2 games, scored none and came back home failing to even qualify from the group stage. And we've seen this across sporting disciplines. Take cricket, for example. The Indian men's team fared horribly in a series before the 2011 World Cup. And boy, what a campaign that turned out to be. Now, we aren't saying Sunil Chhetri and his boys will do miracles, but maybe it's circumstances like this that will turn this bunch into creating something special. So what's the schedule like for this tournament? Now, apart from China that they played today, they have Bangladesh lined up against them on September 21st. Now, India is ranked 90 and Bangladesh is ranked 189. The next match is on the September 24th against Myanmar, a side that's ranked 160. Now, on paper, India must fancy their chances to qualify, for sure. Now, let's take a look at the head-to-head records then. First up, Bangladesh. Now, they've played 8 matches with each other. That was since 2005, if I'm not mistaken. India's won 4 of them, and Bangladesh has managed to draw 4. The next opponents, Myanmar. How have they fared against each other? Here's the head-to-head again. They've played 4 matches against each other since 2008. Among them, India has won 2. Myanmar has managed to pocket 1 in and has also managed to pull out a draw. Now, for a modest squad, it's a good challenge, but not one they cannot scale, given the matchups. So what's the format this time around? So we have 23 teams that are vying for glory at the football event in Asian Games this time. Now, there are all the teams are, of course, divided into groups of 6. Top 2 progress from each group to go to the round of 16. And 4 of the best placed, third placed ranked teams also make it. Let me repeat, 4 teams who are the best third place sides will make it to the round of 16. So there is surely hope for India to show some muster and surge ahead. Now let's stay with Asian Games, and today I want to feature a few more top stars that we here at Firstpost have our eyes on. That's in 4 different sporting disciplines, stars who could strike gold in Hangzhou. Let's start with a bunch of boys who caught the fans' imaginations at the World Athletic Championships in Budapest. Led by the senior-most Mohammad Anas, the 4x400-meter relay Indian team comprising Amod Jacob, Ajmal and Rajesh Ramesh, a couple of whom had switched focus from other sporting disciplines such as long jump and football. The 4 have been in scintillating form when they reached the final at the Athletics Championships just last month with a searing under 3-minute running time, giving the much-celebrated USA team a run for their money. They couldn't beat their best effort in the final, but they'd won hearts and were able to believe that they could go the whole hog. Now, in a conversation with them after the win, they did say that in their previous attempts, which failed, they were mocked after that. And this time, they are hungry to get on the top of that podium. That's what's on their minds. Injuries had also sidelined this team briefly, but they are hungry, they've been training together, and they are ready to go. Next up, Kunvalut with its son. Now he enters the Asian Games riding a wave of good form. The young 22-year-old Thai world number 2 has had a monster last 18 months, ending with the triumph at the BWF World Championships. That's massive. Kunvalut played mostly on the second-tier BWF International Challenge circuit up till 2019. So entering the senior level tournaments was going to be tough. After reaching the BWF World Tour Finals during the 2021 season, a runner-up finish at that event to Axelsen sparked a meteoric rise for the youngster. The 2022 season was Kunvalut's breakthrough year. He clinched his maiden World Tour title at the German Open before winning Southeast Asian Games gold in Hanoi, beating the then world champion Loh Kien Yew. The Thai then reached the 2022 World Championships final, where he lost, but 2023 brought more success. 2 World Tour titles before the championship win. All right, we're shifting back to another team effort, another team which is the Indian hockey team. There's a lot riding on this bunch on the Asiad. Simply put, a direct qualification for Paris Olympics is on the cards. And it's within their reach. All they need is the golden ticket. What definitely gives them a big morale boost is not just that their new world ranking now, they've jumped to 3rd place, but also having had the chance of beating some of the teams that they will face here, like Japan, Malaysia, Korea, and of course Pakistan at the Asian Champions Trophy hosted by India in Chennai. This was the ideal precursor, the prelude to the Asian Games, and they came out triumphant. A failure to finish with the gold medal around their necks would mean going ahead to prepare for the hockey qualifiers in January, where they will have to battle 7 other teams to qualify. Now let's hope that it doesn't get to that. The last to round off this list is another youngster. Winfred Yavi is dominating the world circuit with her efforts in the 3,000-meter steeplechase event. It is a complex event. You have to run, jump over hurdles, and also a waterbed challenge multiple times to reach the finish line. Now, this 23-year-old from Bahrain recently clinched her maiden World Championship title at Budapest. She defeated the much-fancied world record holder Beatrice Chepkoech by clocking 8 minutes 54.29 seconds, the 4th fastest finish in the history of 3,000-meter steeplechase. The youngster is also the defending Asiad champion here, so a lot riding on her. Well, that's all the time we have here on the show, but it's time for Last Serve, a little like our parting shot to end the show. Now, what happens in a football frenzy nation when a star that you adore lands in and you know which hotel he's staying in? Take a look.
Welcome to Iran.
Want to bet those will be pretty much the scenes when Neymar comes to Pune and he visits for that much anticipated football clash. But that's all we have the time here on Firstpost. We hope you enjoyed today's broadcast. Thanks for joining in. Good night.